We are going to monitor them. We, meaning you and I, we're also going to listen to what is going to be said at the federal level. My personal view and the view of the Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement is that it is not over until it is over. So any place where there is a contention on what is going on today, we will also keep an eye. I want us to concentrate as usual on the areas of the Niger Delta, but specifically for us also in Rivers State. Now, some of the points I would like to raise for us today, because it's in the next 4 years. There are issues of education, health, there are issues of development, there are issues of accountability, there are issues of security, need for restructuring. These are the things, and many various other things that we're going to pursue, and shoulder to shoulder, the electorate is going to pursue these things with the politicians, particularly with the governors. This is very, very important. We should not leave the governance and the process of governance, throw up our hands in the air and leave to the House of Rep members, to the senators, to the state assembly members alone, or even to the security forces alone. No, we have to be serious participants this time. It is our right. It is not meddling. We're not meddling in our own affairs. We must be partakers in our own affairs of governance of the region of the Niger Delta and of Rivers State. The key issue for us, the number one thing in the Niger Delta, for the Niger Delta people, all the 6 Niger Delta states, is the issue of keeping an eye, is the issue of definitely speaking up and taking a position. It is going to affect the Niger people. We have to be first an issue for politicians. It is not an issue for NGO people, whoever they are, that are really doing the job or are not doing the beneficiary to you as someone from a local government, a community, a state, and is it beneficial to the region, the Niger Delta region. So many things have happened in long 3 Wednesdays or so. The governors are sworn in, and our state and national representatives are going to take the positions that we have put them in. There are key things that they must pursue. If they don't pursue them, we will pursue. Of restructuring Nigeria, we cannot and must not and will not let go of that issue. And structuring, it is not a discussion anymore. What we are going to be doing is we are going to insist, and we're going to take actions, legal actions. We're going to take actions that we have a constitutional right to take. We must insist that Nigeria is restructured. If anybody in politics, whether you're the president or you're the governor or you're the local government chairman, if you do not want Nigeria to be restructured, when the majority of our people know and believe and want restructuring of Nigeria, then you must be prepared to let go of that position. Restructuring of Nigeria is not a personal party loyalty thing. It doesn't matter whether you are PDP or your APC, your FENSIC, your ASPRO, anything you are, you must insist, because the only way out for us in Nigeria as a country is restructuring. We have to restructure this country. Now, we have to discuss very sensitive things, or rather, things that people would think is sensitive. But our life, our livelihood, our existence as a people, no matter your ethnic minority, no matter your ethnic nationality, your very existence depends on this. The position you take, whether you are an Ogoni person, whether you are an Anyoma person, whether you are Efik, whether you are Ibibio, whatever you are, you must understand the necessity for Nigeria to be restructured. You must understand that to demand for restructuring and do whatever you can within the legal provisions of the country, you must do it. You owe it to yourself and to your children and their children and your future as a people for Nigeria to be restructured. If there is anybody there, anywhere out there in Nigeria, in any other region, in any other state, that does not believe in restructuring Nigeria, you must also understand, whoever you are, that there is an alternative to restructuring. But if you don't want to get to that alternative to restructuring, then you must restructure Nigeria. We have to restructure Nigeria. We cannot go on like this. We cannot be in a position where individuals, so-called businessmen, business entrepreneurs, are mining gold and they are seen as entrepreneurs, and people are wanting to refine oil in the Niger Delta are seen as criminals. No, we should not accept that. Everybody that is listening to me, if you are interested in refining crude oil to petrol, to kerosene, to gas, to whatever that is found in this Niger Delta, you have a right. You have a right. The fact that it is that act to create jobs, to be self-employed and create jobs for other people in the Niger Delta is being seen as a criminal activity, is actually criminal in itself. If there are people who are mining gold, mining diamond, or whatever it is that they are mining in the northern part of Nigeria, if we in the Niger Delta are not allowed to mine what is under our sea and in our creeks and in our land, that is criminal. But what is even more criminal is we allowing it to be so because of some laws. Then we must change those laws. There are provisions in the law itself that allows for us to take a position to change those laws. And that's where our governors, our state representative, local government chairman, House of Rep, National Assembly members, senators, they all must participate in this restructuring. Let nobody be fooled. It is ignorance and cowardice even that makes our people to take a back seat and say, me I no want trouble, me I no want make they arrest me, me I no want die you. Who wants to die? Who wants to be arrested? Who wants trouble? We don't. Neither do I. But there must come a time where you have to stand up for justice and liberty and equity. That time is here. We cannot allow the whole of 2019 and even move into 2020 without resolving the issue. We must resolve the issue of restructuring before 2020. We must resolve it. And it is resolvable. It is not a criminal offense. It is not unpatriotic. As a matter of fact, it is the most patriotic act that is left for Nigeria if Nigeria is going to stay together. It is the most patriotic act that is left for Nigeria. The oil companies that are sitting in Lagos under the delusion that they have created called insecurity of the Niger Delta, that are sitting in Lagos paying tax to Lagos State that they should be paying in the Niger Delta, they should be prepared to come back. There is no insecurity that is insurmountable. None. There is insecurity in the Northwest, and look at the money, the Niger Delta oil money that federal government is pumping into the Northeast, in fact into the whole of the northern area of Nigeria, and see how insecure that place is. They have the largest number of refugee camps right now, these displaced persons camps, that it has originated from the activities of Boko Haram and headsmen in Nigeria, in the West African coast today. So if anybody says that to say we must restructure Nigeria is unpatriotic, that person is the most unpatriotic person. That person wants the Niger Delta people to disintegrate, I mean to disappear, because already our lack of unity amongst ourselves from Edo State all the way down to Akwa Ibom State, taking in the other 4 states, it is our lack of unity. And the people who call themselves politicians that have sold the rights of the Niger Delta people, to political party or political parties that are responsible for what we are going through in the Niger Delta. And we, you and I, are also partly responsible for allowing it to happen. Therefore, we have to rise up and first and foremost call on the politicians that are being sworn in today, 29th of May, that they owe us a responsibility, and if they are not going to deliver, we will make them to deliver on those responsibilities that they owe us. Now, if a federal government is going to set up a radio station for Mieti Allah, for headsmen that are cut across Africa, as far as I'm concerned, they are cut across Africa, because we have no way of identifying the people who claim to be Nigerians, if they are truly Nigerians. Our system, even though a lot of money has gone into identification processes, driver's license, registration of voters, passports, and all those things, we are still being lied to. Even our population, we have to discuss the population of Nigeria. A census should have been held more than 10 years ago. We must not accept a situation where federal government, it is most irresponsible of the federal government of Nigeria to be estimating how many people are in Nigeria. Can a man, a family man, estimate how many children he has? Can he say, I don't know, I have about 4 children? No, you cannot estimate. You must tell us to the figure. How many people are in Nigeria? And this concept that there are 2 million people in Nigeria and that the majority of them are in the north is a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. Nigeria is not 200 million people. And the majority of whatever number of Nigeria is not only in the north. We need a true census, not where cattle and cows and goats and ram are counted and Isama and Ngolo is not counted. No. We must count ourselves. We must be able to identify ourselves. And we must change this situation, because we have a government now that is carrying it on his head that, yes, local government should be autonomous. But then exactly for these reasons was why they manipulated the issue of the local government in the past, so that this day will come where we have, out of 774 local government areas, we have 419 in the north and 355 in the south that produces what is being allocated majorly to the north, because they are getting 419 of what the south is getting 355 of. These are realities. These are realities. They are not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a political issue to the extent of being loyal to your party. Politics is not about loyalty to your party. Politics is about service to your people in a country that claims to be fair and equitable. Then we should be able to feel the equitability of governance in Nigeria. We should be able to feel it in the Niger Delta. Look, if we do not rise up, and I don't mean in a violent way, in a democratic way, in a constitutional way, and where the constitution stops us, because the people that packaged the 1999 constitution are, first of all, they were military people majorly. The idea of the constitution, what should go into the constitution, was a creation of the military. It was created in favor of the north. It was created in favor of a particular religion. So these are things that we can no longer continue to sweep under the carpet. So we have to change the constitution. We can't even have a restructured Nigeria with the present constitution as it is, 1999 constitution. We're not fools. We know these things. But we must make a decision what we want first before we can move forward to dismantle what is stopping us from getting what we want. You cannot achieve a restructured Nigeria with the 1999 present constitution. That's a fact. That is a fact. It's a reality, it's a fact, and it's something we must come to terms with. And so there are provisions in the law that allows us to change the constitution by arguing our point. And that's where we start with saying we want to restructure Nigeria. These are the reasons why we want to restructure Nigeria. And some of the things we will dismantle are the powers that the state should have that the federal government has. The federal government of Nigeria has no business determining the style of healthcare, the style of education that we should have. Why would you force the whole education system in Nigeria, for instance, to have Arabic studies in the curriculum of Nigeria as it concerns the south of Nigeria? Are they being forced to read Igbo and Kalabari and Ikwere and Izon and Efik and Ibibio and Egi and Eleme and Ogoni? No. Even in Rivers State itself, where any state should have a right to its own educational curriculum, as long as you take in the basic. Once you take in the basic, okay, for instance, where there is gold and there is mining, it makes sense that the people there should read about gold mining, should read about people who have marble, should read about marble, people who have coal, should read about those things. Why should it be the federal government and then pay tax to federal government and agree tax for that matter to the federal government and then use what is left to develop yourself? Why should I expect that what comes from Enugu coal, for instance, should also come down to me in Rivers State? Why should I expect it? But the Constitution has made it seem as if I should expect it. But in the meantime, the government is not mining coal. It has allowed coal to lie fallow while they are sucking crude oil and gas out of the veins of the Niger Delta people, impoverishing us by sharing our resources with every Tom, Dick and Harry. No, it's wrong. It's wrong. Why should the oil companies go and sit down in Lagos when the federal government systematically, when there are people who have systematically over the years created situations and circumstances that has put us where we are today in the Niger Delta through our own foolishness and inability to resist injustice, through our brainwashed politicians who believe that their loyalty is to a political party, that the chairman is not from Niger Delta, and yet Niger Delta money is what's keeping the political party going. The head of the decision makers of those political parties are not from here. Why should it be so? I heard recently that a decision has been made by the Christian movement, the Christian organization headed by the Niger Delta, mainly the Niger Delta people, are saying that we should have a Christian party. I agree, because I'm a Christian. So we should have a Christian party because it will protect the interests of Christians. It will. And so these are the things that we should be insisting upon. We should have a political party that the basic powers are in the hands of Niger Delta people. Just the same way other parties are in the hands of other ethnic groupings. So that we will pursue our interests of the Niger Delta region. For the past 20 years, since Abacha died till now, I think the Niger Delta people, in monetary terms and in rights, I believe have lost even more than we did before Abacha died. Why must we continue like this? We shouldn't continue. We shouldn't continue like this. There are so many things. The Constitution is our problem. But I don't believe in this thing where people say our people wrote the Constitution. No, our people did not write any Constitution. One or two persons in the civilian mold would have been picked. And this is where these people are astute in politics. And when I say these people, I mean people from the north that have controlled political power in this country. They are better at utilizing political power more than we do. And therefore, the political powers that we should be exercising in our interest is in their hands. No, it should not be in their hands. The politics that is played in Rivers State, the politics of the Niger Delta, should not be determined by somebody sitting in Abuja who has never been to Abuja. It shouldn't be. And any group of people from the Niger Delta today that packages themselves as Nigerians to go and curry personal favor and political favor from the federal government is a betrayal of the Niger Delta people's interests. It's just as simple as that. I don't care your ethnic group, even if you're Ijo, which is my own ethnic group. If you are not pursuing Ijo interests, if you're from Rivers State and you're not pursuing Rivers State interests, if you're from Ikwere, if you're from Ogoni, and your primary pursuit is the interest of a political party, you're betraying not only your people but yourself. And you're doing it out of selfishness and greed. And we will tell you to your face. And you cannot represent us. And so these powers, people of the Niger Delta, people of Rivers State, this is just a tip of the iceberg. So whoever they're swearing in today, they are swearing you in our name, not in your name, in our name. You're just one man. You're just a governor. You're just a senator. So if we are rejoicing that they are swearing in somebody that we want, let it not seem to that person as if that power is their personal power. It's not your personal power. It is not your personal power. It is the power of the people that you are being given so that you will serve the people. So once again, I say that we're going to say, well, congratulations to the ones that have been sworn in. And the most important thing, as for me, as a Rivers daughter and as a Niger Delta daughter, the most important thing to me is our unity. We must unite across the Niger Delta. All the governors, they should reactivate whether it's a governors forum, governors gathering, but I think it should be, I want it to be reactivated on the basis of a discussion platform, a meeting platform, a think tank for not only the governors and senators and House of Rep members, but also of people who are not in politics, of people who are participating, architects, engineers, lawyers, civil society, people who are genuinely fearlessly talking, people who are genuinely standing up for the environment, environmentalists, not just people who are talking environment because they want to go into environmental business. If you want to go into environmental business, it's fine. Then you go into environmental business. Then the people who are fighting against environmental genocide, genuinely, we know ourselves now, and we know how long we have been in the process. I came into activism on the platform of the environment first, before I realized that it is tied to politics, and then I went into political activism. I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician, but I'm a political activist, and I must have my political say. I must have my environmental say. I must have my security say. If I feel insecure, I must have a say in how the security of the state, the security of the region is run. You know, we cannot have a situation where people will come in from the north, from the borders of Niger, coming down, come to Kogi, go through Kogi to go into Cross River. If you're in Cross River, you're in River State now. All the police that you see mounting guard and doing whatever it is that, and the army and things like that, at 2, 3 in the morning, are they there? They're not there. And so when truckloads of people that are not Nigerians are coming in from Niger, from Sudan, Senegal, Libya, or wherever it is that they're coming from, and they come into the Niger Delta, how will you know? All of us are fast asleep. But we must have a system where there is a border check. There has to be a border check in Nigeria. What do they mean? You can't just stroll into River State in the name of one Nigeria. You know, you cannot. And so there must be, in security terms, we must have a border check. Who is coming into River State? We must have a see. It's not existing. But I'm saying that we should demand it. If somebody leaves River State this morning and say, I'm relocating to Delta State, I'm relocating to Kogi State, the person should go to Kogi government and register with Kogi government and say, I am from River State, I'm from this local government, this is my name, I've relocated here, I'm with my children, I'm single. So they know who has come in to benefit from the little resources that they have, because you're benefiting. Once you go to another place, you will rent a place, you will have their security, you will probably look for a job and get a job or set up a business in that place. You should make the government of that state to know. People should not be strolling in on truckloads, bringing in tomato and yam, and then we don't know whether they've gone or they've not gone. People should not be free to stroll into my community, for instance, without the traditional rulers and the community head and everybody knowing that that people have come into the community. No, it is the responsibility of government, the state government. It should not be just the responsibility of the federal government. The federal government is to check the borders. The federal government cannot come and sit down in the creek there and say it is checking. What are you checking? I mean, as a matter of fact, they've been stealing crude oil before Obasanjo became a president. It was during that time when there were crises, especially in the Bayelsa River State areas, and we had people move into the creeks, that they actually saw people acting in the creeks, that they actually saw foreigners, ships anchored off the high seas and stealing crude oil and taking it in barges out there. Even the international community knows about it. And the people manning those ships that are stealing the oil are not Nigerians. The only place where our people saw them was actually at the point of the creeks, because that is our area, and you will see them, and that's how we saw them. Anybody who knows what I'm saying as the truth knows what I'm saying is the truth. That was how in 2008, while we were preparing to discuss and the amount that gets down to the Niger Delta youths that you people are sitting down here in the villa and talking about is not even up to 10 naira per liter that is carried and calculated at the rate of what the barge can carry. What they get is minimal. It's not even up to 10,000 naira per 10 naira per liter. The people that are getting the major of the oil, that are stealing this oil, are coming from outside. And since our Navy and Air Force are the people in the sky watching the sky of Nigeria and watching the waters of Nigeria, they know that these things are going on. And so that is why I agree with Wike's position. And they know that Wike is not lying when it is said that the people who are supposed to be protecting the waters and the so-called resources in the Niger Delta, the so-called claim that the federal government is laying on the ownership of these resources, the people that are stealing it are conniving with the representative of federal government in the Niger Delta with the foreigners that are stealing it. Is it here? Is it in Nigeria that they're selling the crude that they're stealing? They're selling it in the international market. Who is buying it? They know that it is stolen crude. They know it. There is a market for it. It's called the spot. It's a spot buying market. It's not official. Nigeria does not know how much crude oil it leaves a day. It is the oil company that tells Nigeria. Nigeria does not know how much cubic feet of gas that is leaving the Niger Delta. Therefore, it is our responsibility for ourselves. People keep saying oil will finish. Where you people, when oil finish, you drink your oil. I will not drink my oil. If the oil is going to finish, leave it for me. Let me take the final part of it. If you claim it is going to finish in 5 years or 20 years or 10 years. Why is Dangote building the largest refinery in Lagos if oil is going to finish soon? Why is he investing billions there to come and take oil in Niger Delta and go and refine it in Lagos? Because they have made their Niger Delta insecure. And yet our governors, these are the responsibilities of our governors. Even if the law says by the constitution that the governors don't have a say, we want our governors to have a say. We want you and I to have a say. And the only way we can have a say is to restructure Nigeria. And the only way we can restructure Nigeria is to change the constitution. One leads to the other. So based on that, from this 29th day of May 2019, this is the beginning of where we are going as a people, as far as the Niger Delta self-determination movement and saving the Niger Delta with Annkio is concerned. So we're opening up the lines. I believe you have the numbers, but 081-885-881-55, and then the second number is 0809-289-5620. The lines are open for calls. If I have made any sense in my presentation, I expect for the next minute. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Olisa Niger.
Okay.
I'm calling from Umolumi.
Okay. Go ahead, sir. Okay. Go ahead.
I listen to you clearly using activation, but I think calling on Nigerians, or let us the Nigerian to use a peaceful means in advocating for restructuring and clamoring for the amendment of the constitution, which is a major problem.
Yes.
I think is unprecedented.
I'm listening to you.
However, without applying some effort or violence, I think the government will not listen. The federal government will not listen. But because what Nigeria know and can fit into is when there is an application of violence in it, that they will listen and sit down and discuss.
Okay.
Until we do that, nobody will listen. But I just want to commend you for what you have been on this video. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Hello. It's gone. Well, it is. Hello. Okay. Hello. Hello. Well, I don't think I understand where he's coming from, but I personally do not believe that advocating for non-violence is unprecedented. We must advocate. Hello?
Hello, good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, so good morning, sir. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Okay, my name is Kennedy. I'm calling from Woji, Port Harcourt.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
I want to appreciate your program. You will live long by speaking the truth.
Amen.
Our people, so that they would know what they are passing through in Niger Delta.
Amen.
How can Nigeria be stealing the oil and telling our boys that they are doing bunkering while they are in Kaduna and Kano, minority our food, and they are telling us we want Nigeria? If everybody will come out and speak the way you are speaking, at least you will achieve something. Keep it up.
Thank you. God bless you.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Okay, well, I truly believe, and I have been raised like that the only way to go to achieve anything in life is to speak the truth. You have to speak the truth. If you're prepared to speak the truth, then you must be prepared to be fearless. And because all our lives belong to God. God created us. Nobody created himself. God is the only person that didn't create him. That is the uncreated creator. Nobody created him. We are created by God. And I firmly believe that when I speak the truth, I sleep at night. I sleep well at night. Everybody, even as you cross the road, there is danger. So there is danger everywhere. But that should never stop us from speaking the truth. Whether it is to power, whether it is to your spouse, to your mother, to your daughter, to whoever, we must stay with the truth. And I was raised like that, and I have never deviated from the truth, and I never will. If we don't tell ourselves the truth, whether it comes to being a unified region of a people, irrespective of our languages, our culture are very similar, but even irrespective of our different cultures in the Niger Delta and languages and ethnic nationalities, if we fail to love ourselves in the Niger Delta, if we fail to work on the basis of unity of the Niger Delta, the people we say that are oppressing us, the people we say that are dividing us, are taking our this, taking our that, they will continue. Because once you are united, they cannot do anything to you. I suppose that's why a particular party chose a particular symbol, that you cannot break as a bunch, but you can break as a single entity. Hello? Hello? Hey, I was wondering whether I wouldn't hear your voice and whether you had not missed me.
Well, the truth is that there are certain programs that I think is our own.
Yes.
Like they say you can't, because you want to run, does not mean you leave your foot behind. So this program is like my bomb. So anywhere I think so. Yeah, they can
Thank you.
Well, for this body, as usual, it does not make sense. But it makes sense. It's now therefore those who are supposed to make use of these senses to utilize it or utilize them, put them into practice. Like they say in my community that the insect that is of the cola nut, it's inside the cola nut itself. We ourselves are bigger or doer. Now, why can't the Niger Delta governors, out of assembly members, senators, decide to boycott further government activity?
Yes.
Let's give it a shot. It's all about politics, all about lobbying and bargaining. If you believe that these people have the numbers, you let them know that there are certain numbers they require for them to be effective in whatever bills they want to pass. If the numbers are not there, automatically those bills will remain valid. So why not we boycott activity of the federal government and the National Assembly, and then we take it up from there? If they have the numbers,
yes.
we have the intellect, and then we have the natural resources that
yes.
we are bringing to the table.
Yes.
And then we negotiate. This
yes.
is what I want, and then you say, what is good for Tamuna should be good for Adamu and Garuba.
Yes.
What is good for Adamu and Garuba is not good for Tamuna and Ogbon. Then he has to negotiate, like you said. The only option left, as far as I'm concerned, is restructuring.
Yeah.
Restructuring does not mean Tamuna go your way, Adamu go your side.
Yes.
So, it's all about, this is what you have, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, we negotiate and say, okay, you take this, I take this. Because it's annoying when you know the fact.
Yes.
That, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I think as they are being inaugurated today, I mean the Niger Delta governor, those
yes.
that are coming back,
yes.
they should put it at the back of their mind to know that for me, I'm not interested in national appointment or whatever.
Yes.
What I'm interested in, how will my domain
yes.
be so effective that even if an adventure tomorrow I'm not around, my children will live a healthy life. That's what is important to me.
Yes,
and I think
absolutely.
That is what should be their number one agenda. We should have just one agenda. We know the 7-point agenda.
Yeah.
Just one agenda, and that is restructuring.
Yeah.
If we cannot get it in 1 year, it then means the people have decided if they know how to play politics, we tell them we know how to negotiate and love. We cannot support front.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. God bless you. God bless you. Well, definitely, I believe that our people should have seen by now that the most important thing for us as a people in this region is to push for, is the only thing left to push for, to restructure this country. If there is a resistance from the federal government to restructure Nigeria, then it is clear and rubber stamped that the federal government does not and will never want anything that will be in the interest of the Niger Delta region. And therefore, it means, therefore, that the federal government does not want, whoever the federal government is answering to federal government, will never want the Niger Delta to develop. Because as far as I can remember, and this is long, as far as I can remember, from 1960, when we got independence, to date, no one has ever wanted, whether our people in politics or the other people that are not from here that are in politics, have never wanted the interest of. That was why the resistance to the government of Goodluck Jonathan was so fierce, because there was never an anticipation by the people wielding political power that I say know how to use it better than we do, were horrified when the late Yaradua died, and Jonathan, with no extra effort on his part, but by the provision of the constitution, had to become the acting president the substantive president, and eventually when it came to deciding whether he would run for election or not, which was his constitutional right, whether we should have or should not have is for another discussion. And that was why the resistance was so fierce, and the determination to disallow a Niger Delta man from continuing into presidency after his first tenure. And yet, look at the fight that was put up for Buhari to have a second tenure. People were killed across the Niger Delta. In Rivers State, more people were killed in Rivers State. The Rivers State was overrun by the army. Whether people want to discuss it, they don't want to discuss it, is their business. The majority of the people were killed in my community. Till tomorrow I'm pained. There are people from my community that were slaughtered by so-called politicians, of so-called people who claim to be sons and daughters of Rivers State, stood by and made sure that people were killed in their states and in their communities because of politics. Today, what have they gained out of it? Absolutely nothing. And you sleep at night. Anyway, that is for us as a people to decide whether we want to continue in this manner or not. We don't have to continue. We don't have to accept the killing of our people, and we don't have to accept the blame and responsibility that other people have brainwashed politicians to take up, and the electorate is afraid to speak. If you don't speak up for yourself, who do you expect to speak up for yourself? Who? Annkio Briggs? No. What if God has not called me? Me too, I want to do contract. Me too, I'm interested in making money. Who is not interested in money? But I have made a choice. I've made a choice. The people getting contract. There is a lady that is the richest black woman in Africa. What makes her rich is the oil in my backyard. It's very painful. It's the oil in my backyard that has made her rich. Is she from here? No. But she's the richest woman. I don't envy her because there is no reason for me to envy her. I'm angry that the governance, the method of governance, has made this possible for me not to have an oil well, for oil well not to be located to me, and yet located to a woman that is not from here, and then for somebody to say it is because of one Nigeria, and I'm breathing polluted air. I have a skin irritation because of the pollution of the air. People are getting cancer in the Niger Delta because of the pollution of the air. And the person who is benefiting the most from this pollution of the air is sitting fat in Lagos. And somebody is building the biggest refinery to come and take this oil, to go and refine it in Lagos. We're waiting. Anyway, it's time to sign off. And thank you very much. And please, I need us to come together and work together. This thing it is possible to restructure Nigeria. They say we're 200 million people. One man cannot resist 200 million people. It is possible to restructure Nigeria. On that note, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you, listening, interacting with you next Wednesday. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful holiday.